dark as fuck. Apparently, I'm just
Yeah, it
now
looks like a
learning
goon
that
room.
now. Yeah, dude, I'm in here gooning.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look like you usually do. Like you're coming from a bombed out basement in like Yemen or something.
Yeah, dude.
All right,
Oh
we ready
yeah.
to start this thing?
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do it.
do
All
it,
right,
man. Let's
let's
just
do
do
it.
it.
Here we go in three, two, one.
Just drop that ass, bitch. It's open micers in the house. Pop that pussy with that open micers logo in your mouth. Jason with his bald ass head. Jacob looking in bed. It's open micers, bitch. Heard what I said. Drop that ass. Open micers in the house. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. Open micers in the house. Open micers is a mouse. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. The mic is now open.
God, that song gets longer every week. Yes, of course, the mic is open. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig, and man, it's good to be back. We had a week off last week. Bought a new truck. Truck ain't had no brakes. I had to fix the brakes. The truck ain't had no brakes. So we're back again this week, and we have a return guest. Someone I'm very glad we're having back on the podcast because I feel like his last time on was a little unceremonious. So I'm glad that we get a chance to make things right because he is currently on the Never Heard of Him tour all over the road right now. Specifically for us, you can buy tickets to see him in Mobile, Alabama on April 11th or in Biloxi, Mississippi on May 24th. So he will be down here. You have ample opportunity to go see this man. It is the one, the only, the always fucking hilarious Mike Eaton. What's up, buddy?
Hello, it's me. I'm here. I have to say, last time that there wasn't an intro song, and this time now that there is, watching Jason hate it so much, really couldn't have brought more joy to my heart. I don't know what it is. It's just hearing it, pop that pussy and watching Jason go, God fucking damn.
It's just, I don't know what it is, but it seems like it just gets longer and longer every week. I feel like it's an hour long now. That's the whole
Yeah.
podcast is just that song.
Oh, that rules. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so much fun.
I knew we were going to be good with you because you're a jovial, fun-loving guy. You don't take yourself too seriously. We
Yeah.
sometimes have on like kind of fucking. I don't want to say they have a stick up their butts, but you know the kind of comic I'm talking about that like takes the art of comedy way too fucking seriously. And then we get them on our podcast and we play that theme song for them, and they're
Yeah.
just like, "What the fuck did I agree to do?"
Like I waver between those 2 points because like I take the art form seriously and I care very much about comedy and I like it, but also it's comedy. It like it is the
Yeah,
dumbest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to use big words and like illustrate a picture and blah 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 vocabulary art. Yeah, yeah, but also like I'm currently doing a joke about duck pussy. So it's like it's just kind of one of those things where I think the best I ever heard it is there is in the episode of Comedy Bang Bang where they are memorializing Harris Whittles. Scott Ackerman is telling a story about being with Harris at some fancy Hollywood party. And Harris, for people that don't know, is like a sketch writer and improv dude out of Houston that moved to LA. And within a couple of years was already an executive producer on Parks and Rec and had a meteoric rise to the top and was just undeniably hilarious. And people are always trying to figure out, what made this very quirky guy tick. And Scott, is waxing poetic about the nature of comedy and philosophy. And Harris said, I think motherfuckers just want to laugh. She's like,
yeah,
he's one of the smartest and most brilliant guys out there. And it really just comes down to that. She's like, yeah, man, fuck it. It's a silly pussy song for an intro to a podcast.
yeah.
Like,
That's all it is.
if you're taking anything seriously, like you're not paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, people know what they've signed up for. You don't turn on this podcast and not expect us to talk about Dussy, dude. We're talking about Dussy all podcast, bro.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, but
fucking
even
go.
still, we'll still have like we've had some like comedy legends here on the show, and I'm just like the whole time that song's playing, I'm just like, please don't log out of Zoom. Please don't log out of Zoom.
Yeah, I get my intro song at the end. My friend Jordan McDonald, very funny comic, the most soulful voice of all time. And I had him record, go, "Hey bitches, show Mike Eaton your titties." It has nothing to do with the podcast. It's not about the title. It's just there's a cool like guitar riff intro, and then just the coolest black guy saying that, and I just wanted it there.
Yeah, that's all podcasting has to be. Because, like, especially in comedy podcasting, it's so saturated where, like, chances are we're just talking into empty airwaves fucking anyway. Unless you're like Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan. You got to do something to make it fun and stand out, dude.
Oh man, 100%. I used to have a podcast. I still do, but I used to too. But I was with my buddy Eli, and we were on a network, and then we got fired from the network because one of the network rules was that we weren't allowed to say any slurs, and the other network rule was that we weren't allowed to malign or in any other way denigrate first responders in any field. So police, firemen, ambulance, paramedics, etc. No bad talking about them, and not for political reasons, but solely because this specific podcast network, 95% of their listeners and viewers were first responders who are sitting there and need something to entertain them while they're waiting to respond. You know, and my Eli and I went on this podcast and went live because we had to contractually do one a week, and we were traveling, and we go live, and it was right after the Uvalde shooting. And in the middle of it, Eli, my co-host, just went on a big "fuck the police" rant, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I know the rules of the network, so I was very gently trying to guide him live on air, like, well, certainly there's some wiggle room, and then like trying to be diplomatic. And Eli, bless his fucking heart, he thought I was like giving him alley oops to just slam dunk down, because normally that is what I'd be doing if I see something funny and I can set him up to be funnier. I'm going to do that. And he's making a point, and so I'm giving these very weak counterpoints that he's just slam dunking. So we were off the net. We got let go from the network, and the podcast died. And that's actually where my other podcast came from. But maybe a month or two ago, Eli and I decided to bring the podcast back, and we've been recording from his living room, and really just doing it for us and just having fun with it, and like not having guests, and it's just me and him talking on his couch. And then we finally decided to have a guest, and we had Alexis Fox.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I met her through Roast Battle. She judged a couple of roast battles that I did, and I was already a huge fan. I love her work. I've watched a lot of it, It's also very awkward to like do a roast battle and then have an adult film star judge and then just be like, "I've come to you a lot." Like everything's just trying not to say that. But she is really, really funny and very involved in the roast community, and is just like a gem of a human being. So we had her on the podcast, and we went for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And like we could have gone.
She's
for
probably
5.
gone longer.
Yeah, right. But it was such an amazing thing, and now it's so funny. We recorded in 4K because obviously visually that's very important to be able to look at one of the most gorgeous ladies of all time. But I downloaded all the files, and then I put them onto my phone, and I went to go upload it into YouTube after I got the thumbnail made. And I put it on overnight, and I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and it said 14,000 hours remaining till it was uploaded.
Wow.
So, I don't know if anybody's ever going to see it, but it's a pretty cool. I was just saying, you got to do it for yourself. I enjoyed it, regardless of if anyone ever even gets to see it.
Did you ask her about Dussy?
We asked her about a lot. I think like the thing that was so interesting to me about her is that like the same way there are comics that do comedy because they just love being funny.
Yeah.
Like she does porn because she loves sex. She's just like an extremely horny human being, and that's so cool. Like I don't know. Like there's just like a bunch of times during the podcast where she was saying stuff where it was like, "I love you." can we make 8 million of you? You're the best person to ever live.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a fascinating like little piece of the world, getting into it. But yeah. That's podcasting.
Well, got to do what you love to make a living. Find what you like.
Dude.
If Jacob could find a job where he just eats sandwiches all day, I'm pretty sure you would be happy.
God, you
Yeah,
got to figure that out,
Yeah.
if I could just get paid to eat sandwiches and masturbate to Alexis Fox.
dude. Man, that's the dream. I finally got to try Joey Rose's sandwiches. So comedian Joe DeRosa, one of the funniest guys out there. He did a screening of his one-man show, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. And I got to be honest with you, going into it, knowing very little about it, only knowing that I respect Joe as a comedian and find him very funny, I was dubious because of the titling of one man show. Just like that whole genre, to me, it doesn't scratch the itch because generally it doesn't have the same focus on humor that a stand-up special would. When you put out a stand-up special, it's clearly it's graded on the metric of is this funny, whereas a one-man show it is generally more along the lines of being interesting, and so while it may be funny, it's more about presenting a specific topic or thesis rather than about the comedic intent. But I went, and Joe he's a known foodie. He has this show with Sal Volcano Taste Buds, but he has a sandwich shop in New York, and they did a pop-up at the Creek here in Austin. So I got to finally try his sandwiches. I don't fuck with onions. And the guys running the shop were the kind of guys where if you asked for a substitution on their sandwich, they would hurt you physically. So it came with Vidalia onions on it, or Vidalia onions, however you pronounce it. And man, it's fucking perfect. I filled my pants instantly, just loads and loads of cum. It was so good. So I eat the sandwich, and then smoked some weed, and then went inside and watched his one-man show, and fucking hilarious and poignant and unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if it's out on streaming yet anywhere, but like it keep your eyes peeled for it. Like you guys will enjoy it, especially.
Oh yeah.
But it's fuck, man, it's so good.
I didn't know he had a sandwich shop. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's so cool. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like you can figure out your thing. Like he loves fucking sandwiches, and he found I met his bread expert, and like. Dude,
hold on, stop
bread
right
expert.
Stop right there, dude. There's no way.
Your heavy breathing is correct, brother.
So I found my lane. I can just be a bread expert.
That's a thing. It was this like sweet old Italian man, and like he just talked bread. And I sat with him on the patio of the Creek talking about bread for maybe an hour.
That's another man that's found exactly what he wanted to do with his life. He's like, I love bread. So I'm gonna be an expert at it.
Well, dude, and like the whole like thing with water being such a big part of it, and like so like the bread being 60% of the sandwich, and then these being like a very specific and special sandwich, and not wanting to have it and you can't. The freshness of the bread is extremely important. So it's not like you can fly the fucking bread here, and like altitude makes a huge difference. So ingredients go in from that. So it's like, how do you replicate? So he was talking about all the efforts that he went through to perfectly replicate his New York fresh baked rolls that he made every morning here in Austin. Wow. And it's just like, never stop talking. This is so cool.
Now, if you can just have him talking to you about bread while watching porn, then you got something there.
Dude, I mean, it really was. Yeah, for me, it was a perfect night because I got to have a very gourmet food experience at my favorite place in the world, this comedy club that's my home away from home, and then go inside and watch something that's equal parts hilarious and thought-provoking. And it was very cool. And then to have drinks with the guy that made it and hang out with everybody there at the bar. It's just dude, like what you're saying, like fucking figure out whatever the thing is that you love and then go find it, because there's so much of it out there now. I feel like as much doom and gloom bullshit as there is out there, like it's never been easier to have the best time.
Maybe you should start a YouTube channel where you just go around the country trying sandwiches, trying to find the perfect sandwich. Now that's a good job right there.
Mike,
Jacob, what's your favorite sandwich? Jacob, what's your favorite sandwich?
French dip.
Yeah? Do you have a specific place? Tell me more things. Let's get
Believe it or
sandwichy,
not,
brother.
So in South
If you say
Mississippi,
Arby's, I am getting out of the.
all right, not Arby's. So in South Mississippi, right? There's not like a good mom and pop sandwich deli anywhere that I know of. So the best French dip I've found has been McAllister's Deli.
Okay.
It's not bad.
I won't. Yeah, no, it's no, it's not bad at all. There's man, how far is the drive to New Orleans for you?
It's only like an hour.
Yeah.
Brother. All right. So New Orleans is home to some of the best sandwiches. I don't fuck with olives, so muffaletta is lost on me, and everyone else can go and enjoy that sandwich and have their opinions on it. That's not what I'm here to talk about.
Dude, there's this spot we go to. Hey, what's the name of that place where we get the sandwiches in New Orleans? Do you remember?
I bet it's Turkey and the Wolf.
Bodega.
Jason's yelling off mic for anyone who's wondering why there's dead silence on the podcast.
We can't remember why there's the name of the place, but it's this little bodega right on Royal, I think. And dude, they have the best sandwiches you will ever, and they're so freaking huge. Like it would take Jacob 2 days to eat one of these sandwiches.
It was a huge muffalata?
No, it was just we usually
Did you get it from your mom's house, dude?
No, we get we usually get like the tuna, or we'll get like roast beef or something like that, or fried shrimp.
This is where you need to go.
Turkey.
It's on Jackson Avenue. Turkey and the Wolf.
Huh.
It's the best sandwiches ever made. It's genius sandwich people, just doing all sorts of fun ingredients. So that is if you want like a cool broccoli rabe, or like a sandwich you haven't tried before, some fantastical combinations. You're like a sandwich guy, but also Po' Boys. Parkway Po' Boys in New Orleans makes a Crystal's hot sauce aioli. They fry their shrimp. It's Cajun people, so they know about seasoning. So the batter that the shrimp are fried in is light, but it packs flavor. The shrimp are right there, so they're the perfect weight.
Yeah.
The things I would do to but Parkway Po' Boys, you're an hour away. You got to go there.
Yeah, I got to go. The next time we have a show in New Orleans, I will definitely swing by there.
Yeah.
It's both of those places. I mean, New Orleans is like my favorite food city. They're doing Skankfest there this year, and I will be there.
Hell yeah, dude. I submitted. I'm not going to get accepted. They're not. They're not going to accept me, but I did submit.
Hell yeah.
If not, I might just go, because this is something I didn't realize was like a thing that you could just do. Maybe not with Skankfest, but I was talking to Mo Alexander, who's a good friend of ours.
Very funny guy.
I was talking to him about, because he did Altercation Fest, and we had him on right before to talk about Altercation Fest. He's like, "Yeah, you guys should come," and we're like, "Oh, we didn't like submit or get in." He's like, "Yeah, but you can just like come and do the festival, just show up and do it." I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was a thing where you could just like show up and be like, hey, can I fucking go do the festival?" And someone might be like, "Yeah, sure."
It very much it depends on the fest and stuff too, but like a lot of the times, like especially if you know comics there, and like all of this business is all peer to peer, so it's so the first Skankfest in Vegas, I was an official performer. I submitted, I was accepted, I had a buyout, all that stuff. They paid for stuff. I got all the swag and all that. The next year, I was not an official performer. I was a official performers +1. So I still got like is that the sandwich place?
Yeah, that's it. The Verdi Mart.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I love how Mike stopped mid-sentence and was like, "Is that the sandwich place?"
Yeah.
No, this is important to me.
Yeah, it's good sandwiches.
That is unreal. I do have them saved. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it. My ADHD sent me into a sandwich hole.
Look,
like I had
you
to
can
find
never
place.
derail a fat boy when it comes to sandwiches.
Correct. Yeah, that was an itch that needed to be scratched immediately. I'm so glad that you found it. But now a new one has popped up in my brain about who told me about Verdi Mart. And I feel like, anyways, we'll figure it out. But so Skankfest second year, I went back and I was a +1, and then last year I went to hang out, and I went with the Creek studio people. So because it's put on by the Creek and the Cave, I had like an in, and I was going to get to go. But all of the stages are all run by Creek staff and people that I'm friends with. So I got to perform a bunch of times. So like, stuff like that, where it's kind of the same thing with just like a club in a home city. Like if you go and hang out around the club, even if you're not booked on the show, there's going to be comics that drop out. There's going to be times
Yeah.
where they need someone to stall. There's times where they're just feeling generous, like, I can't tell you the number of times I've had a show where I've, just seen somebody and thought like, well, this is a hot crowd. Let's give them a shot. Just like a friend that's been there or whatever. So, but festivals, stuff like that. Skankfest is one of those ones where even if you don't get to perform, like showing, like they have volunteer opportunities too for comics, where like if you go and just spend a day working a door and just signing people in for a festival, it's the same thing as when you go and fucking bark to get stage time for something. It's just another version of that, but it's much higher stakes because now you're at the Skankfest after party and you're hanging out with these people. And I can't tell you the number of like connections that I made at Skankfest that then paid off in touring stuff, in the years coming. So yeah, definitely just go, show up, volunteer if you don't get in, but I mean, submit, put in your best tape. I think at the time of filming this, I don't know when this will come out, but right now they just posted today, there's 12 days left in submissions. So that's enough time to go out and fucking put your best 5 on a, packed show somewhere, or hit somebody up in a city. Like I told comics around me, like, dude, just find a show in Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, somewhere that's going to be a packed show. Your friend is headlining a sold out show somewhere. Bribe them, pay them, beg them. Let me do a 5-minute guest spot. Bring your 5 best minutes, film it in the best quality that you can get. Blow your fucking load on that. Like whatever it costs on getting like a really good tape like that, that is worth its weight in gold. Like,
buy them a sandwich. Somebody bought me a sandwich, I'd give them 5 minutes. Yeah,
dude, 100%. Sandwiches go far, food goes far, drugs go far. Most comedians do drugs. Like, it was so funny when I lived in Austin when I was very, very first starting comedy, like the first 6 months I lived here. I would just always have weed. I'm a big pothead, so I've always had weed on me, but I always had good weed. And comics are all broke. So I'd be hanging out with people and like people would just come and join me to smoke. And I made a lot of friends having weed. And then I got to LA and I like would always have good weed, but everybody had good weed because you could go buy it at a store. So it wasn't like I had like a cool guy. It's like I knew like a better brand of weed to buy. Like, I always had good weed on me. So then it was like, well, now I can't tell you the number of bags of cocaine that I bought that turned into gigs later. And like, that's not for everybody. And I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but like, if we're being honest, like, especially early on, like just having an extra $100 to throw at that really did a lot of wonders in some cool situations. So,
yeah. And I think too, I mean, there's probably a good opportunity, and I'm sure you would know better than I do because you have your ear to the ground in Austin, Texas. But Kill Tony does Skankfest almost every year now. I think there's a good opportunity that Kill Tony is going to do Skankfest in New Orleans. So just being around might
be honestly surprised if Kill Tony did Skankfest this year because it's blowing up so huge. They're doing arenas fucking all over the globe now. I mean, they're selling out shows in London in like the O2 arena. They're doing, and like Tony himself, separate from Kill Tony, is doing an arena tour as well. Like he's doing the fucking Honda Center doing just stand up, not even Kill Tony. So like that show is massive. And they just announced pretty recently that they're doing Kill Tony on Netflix. So like, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, to be fair, last year's Skankfest, Shane Gillis appeared and sacrificed playing Trump on SNL for a whole season. So it's like, he might just fucking do it.
There's a chance. Like there is a chance. I think it's one of those things where like I wouldn't bet on it, but I will tell you that no matter what happens, Skankfest is going to be unfucking believable.
Yeah.
And also like go and sign up for the Kill Tony shit wherever it is. They're doing Nashville. Like that's not a super terrible drive and is a very cool place to go and visit and has a great scene for you. There's a lot of great food there, go and fucking make a weekend out of that. And like that same weekend after that, I think Dr. Phil is going to be there, the whole Adam Ray thing. And so, there's a ton of shit to do. Like, so I don't sign up for Kill Tony very often. Just because the whole rigmarole here in Austin, you have to go downtown. You got to be at, it used to be at Poor Choices. They just moved it to Shakespeare's between 5 and 7 p.m. You wait in this giant line. It's usually 150, 200 people, sometimes more. Of those, I would say 10 to 15 people are like normal, well-adjusted human beings, members of society. And then of the rest of them, there's probably 100 that are terrifying. Like they're just like I don't know where they exist. I don't know where they go when this ends or begins. Like I don't know what they do out there in the real world.
Slither back to their holes to.
Yeah, there's a fucking dude that just dresses like a wizard. That's just there every week, just dressed like a fucking wizard. And like it's gotten to the point now where there's like musicians and actors and people with like little small projects that are trying to do it to promote their shit, that are like just like the guerrilla marketers that have no morals about stuff, and they're in the line. And there's crazy political people of all sorts of kinds, and the January 6th granny, and all that stuff. So there's all this crazy people to be around, a very weird energy there. And it's also and like there are definitely good people signing up, and there's tons of good people around it, but it's a very interesting energy to be around. So I don't often go and sign up, but I have a few times recently. And then so this past weekend on Sunday, I was on Roast Battle at the Mothership, and I went against Jimmy Moynihan, and it was really cool. And we had a surprise judge, and Tony Hinchcliffe came and judged our roast battle. So that was it was very cool. We had other great judges on the panel, but he was obviously the most high profile. So that was very cool. And so I was very happy with that. And I figured that was an end of my week. And then I was celebrating with some people after that. And my good friend Wes Barker, who is a magician that's been called on the show a few times and is just like a touring comedian and magician himself, had a couple tickets to the show and invited me to go with him. And I ended up signing up, and then I got pulled this past Monday and had like a crazy fun time. I can't talk about who the guests were or anything until that comes out, but it, like already like from that, it will do enough for me career wise that it's like there's not really an excuse to not do it if you have the chance. I think if you have the opportunity to go and sign up, you should.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, but don't you feel like if you get on there and you actually do well, it doesn't do anything for you? But if you get up there and absolutely suck, that's when everything happens for you.
Well, so it very much depends. Like it's if you get up there and you are a spectacle and are like a crazy person and are very interesting, then the clips are going viral because people are like watching the same way they watch cringe stuff, but those people don't really get like a career per se out of it. They get a social media following, which is very much a grass is greener situation. Mm-hmm. I meet comics that are decades ahead of me that are unbelievable talents that have 4,500 Instagram followers. And then I meet, just complete jokes of human being fitness influencers that try an open mic and have 65,000. Yeah. And it's just like, fucking what, So that you see that. So they will get an Instagram following. They'll get, a YouTube following out of it. And if they're making stuff that's in line with their cringe stuff, then they're going to have a career of being whatever that is that they got popular with. But for good comedians, they go on there that are good comics, like they're touring with it. They're, selling tickets from it. They're getting open to a whole new fan base. Like Rick Diaz and what that's done for him and being able to tour. I was just not that long ago at Club 337 in Lafayette. And it was I had a Thursday show, and Rick had just been through on Tuesday and it sold out the room and had an unbelievable show. And it was, so cool to hear that. And then I had, 25 people. And it's, I'm out there working and I'm doing all that stuff. It's just, I didn't have that same thing. And I will be very interested to see if there is a significant impact on ticket sales after the episode drops. It was two pretty high profile guests. My minute went pretty good, but my interview went crazy well. I had some updates on some stuff that had happened on the last episode I was on like 3 years prior. And so it was like a fun thing, but I think that like, even regardless, for me, I made a tour. I booked a bunch of dates. I've been doing the stand-up comedy work. So now the social media following I get from any of it, even just this, like one of the stories is not particularly funny. It's pretty gross and I look stupid, but I leaned into it and had a good time. I'm on street Ozempic right now. I'm like buying it just like from a guy, like on the dark web. I'm not like, I don't have like a doctor. And like I have a joke about it, and it's funny because I talked about it with the Are You Garbage guys. I got to host for them when they came through the creek, and then the show was Chris O'Connor, Tommy Pope, Shane Gillis, Kevin Ryan, H. Foley, and then me, like hosting. So it was very funny because I started the show by being like, "Hey, who the fuck is this guy?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, who is this guy?" But it's fun. And then I was telling them about the Street Ozempic in the green room, and then the next week on Matt and Shane's, they had the Are You Garbage guys on, and they said, "Oh yeah, Mike Eaton, this guy's open for us. He's on Street Ozempic." They're all laughing about that.
Yeah.
And so he's very funny. And so I'm getting all these DMs from that. And then I told a little bit more of the story on Kill Tony of the whole Street Ozempic stuff. But just that like trickle of that in media stuff, like that will lead to a lot more social media stuff for me. But like if you go on there and you haven't been doing anything beforehand, and then you try and turn just that like flash in the pan into a career, like that's gonna suck regardless, because like people are gonna come out and see you and be like, "Oh, this guy sucks. Why would I see him again?"
Yeah.
But like I've been out there working, so anything that comes from this is just gravy.
Yeah, I just wondered about that, like the people that are just absolutely the worst and awful, but they get a career out of it, and then it's like, what do they do after that?
Yeah, I don't know. I you don't see them anymore. They like, and like the thing is, like, I think there's we all get this illusion in our mind of what like a comedy career is or what that looks like. But like the people that are selling a lot of tickets and a lot of merch and making a lot of money that have turned like Kill Tony into a career are David Lucas, William Montgomery, Hans Kim, Cam Patterson, Casey Rocket, Rick Diaz. And then to a smaller extent, some of the newer guys, Drew Nickens is starting to, and Heath Court is starting to, and Enrique Chacon is starting to. And like, those are the guys that like they turned that into a career, but then like that's it. Like unless I'm forgetting someone important from like the regulars or whatever, but like it's the main cast that has made it into a like an actual real career.
Yeah.
The freak shows and the people that have popped up, like so I feel bad because I said freak shows and then the examples I'm about to give, but like Aaron Belial came in and like he's a very funny guy and has good writing and is making a career out of it and going and selling, but now he's back to Canada, and is doing Canada stuff, and I'm sure he'll be back in America and doing a tour again. But like that's a very specific guy, and I don't know too many comics that would be willing to trade lives with him. Like he has a much more difficult journey. Like his makes sense that he popped. Like Martin Phillips, very funny guy, and like he's touring with it. He's another guy that is doing stuff with it. But like the people that have had Kill Tony really, spring launch their careers have all been people that were already out doing comedy stuff before they signed up for it. Nobody that like just showed up on there and then was like a crazy viral freak show that has now making a shit ton of money. Hans was doing comedy for a decade before he became a regular, right?
Yeah.
So like there is like this. I think there's like this illusion because you see people go on there and then you see them pop up and they're not particularly funny, or they get roasted really hard, but they have like a crazy moment and then they get 10,000 followers and you're like, man, fucking I work hard and I do comedy. Why can't I get 10,000 followers? And they're just a freak and they're getting 10,000 followers. And it's like, you don't want those followers. They're not following for the right reasons.
Yeah.
They're not people that are going to support any kind of comedy career. At the end of the day, regardless of who's in charge or what channels or people are getting famous through, like stand-up comedy, still, you have to make people laugh when they're in the room or nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And out of those people that you mentioned too, I won't say who it was specifically, but there's one example that I'm thinking of who, he came from around these parts. And when he was here, he was somebody who was just starting to get like opener slots on showcases. And then he goes on Kill Tony and blows up and starts selling tickets, and now he has a drug problem. So what where's the compensation for like the people in that area that he was opening for that were like closing the showcase?
They didn't go sign up for Kill Tony. If those people closing the showcase had gone and done it, I mean, it's all everybody there's this illusion of meritocracy in comedy that like if you get undeniable and you're funny enough, you'll get a career. And like that's nice to think, but there's also just the timing of everything. There are a bunch of people that would have been world famous, excellent comedians that just were born in the wrong time, didn't make enough money to fucking quit it, had a parent die,
Oh, I
all
mean,
sorts of just little things.
That's in everything. I mean, not just comedy, but like music. If you're a musician or an actor or whatever, it's like you can just do the best work ever. But if that, if if your lottery ticket doesn't come up, it just doesn't come up. It's just like some people just get lucky. You got to get lightning in a bottle. It's being in the right place, at the right time.
I mean, you look at like the Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
That song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. So
Yeah.
they made that song to appease their manager because that's 0% like anything else they made. And they was like, well, can you make like a fucking hit? And then they sought out to make like the most annoying fucking, yeah, we can make a fucking hit. And then it became their one hit wonder. They got a career out of it. The same thing, management, MGMT, Electric Feel, Kids, all that album. They hate that album. And they won't like you can see them go perform live. They hate performing it. It's like we hate this kind of music. We made this ironically and it blew up. There's stuff like that. And it's and in comedy, there's, people that, like Larry the Cable Guy didn't have an accent until he needed one. And then he blew up and made a career out of it. And there's, you see early clips of Theo. Theo's, comedic character was a lot more preppy. And you see like some of his very early stuff. And he took a while to figure out who he was. And then, Theo is, one of the best to ever do it. Now, one of the top guys in the fucking world at it, So there's all sorts of different things that people get lucky and try all sorts of different things. And those people that, whoever that guy was that he was opening for, if they didn't find their fucking thing, like fucking bummer, start a podcast, I guess. I don't know what to fucking go make a food channel. I don't know. Like
I advise against starting a podcast. There's no money in it.
There's no money in a podcast. I'll tell you, like, I only do mine when I enjoy doing them, and they don't have. I've had a few clips go viral and stuff blow up, and it's turned into fucking nothing. But like, I like them, and I do them, and I like having conversations with people. And Eli's my best friend. I love talking with him, and we have so many similar and extremely different thoughts that it's just fun. But I do the podcast because it's means to an end for putting out content that's not stand up that I don't mind getting rid of. But stand up's all I care about. It's the only thing I give a shit about at all. I want to be on stage doing a stand up comedy. And anything else that can get me to do more of that, fucking I'll do roast battle. I'm the commissioner of the WRBL, which is the minor leagues of roast battle, where me and Tom Gross are co-commissioning 8 cities and doing. Now I fucking have like technically 5 podcasts that I'm just, a part of and doing it. And it's like, that's not stand up, and it's not even about stand up. It's about roast battle. But because roast battle is getting so much notoriety and it's putting me in a lot of places, it's helping me sell tickets to stand up. So I'll fucking do it,
Right. And you're undeniably good at roast battle too. I wanted to talk to you about this because, before roast battle really blew up, I had my ear to the ground maybe more than the average comedy fan because Austin's so close and I liked what was happening. And it was right around the time Kill Tony moved there. So I'm watching clips on YouTube of Casey Rocket sets, of roast battles, of your roast battles. And I saw one clip where you like talked about how you lost a roast battle one time because you were too mean to the lady, and you were like, this is a roast battle, and you said what you said to the lady, and the judges were like, why did you say that? Now it's happening again. We hate you. Like, what's the line? As because I would consider you pretty much a professional roaster, like more than 90% of roasters in the world, you have a leg up on. What's the line now between like being too mean in a roast and actually like cutting to the bone enough to where it's funny?
I think that that is a question that the answer changes to based on the person and the battle and the delivery. And it's really the goal that I have found is that if I can be clever plus likable plus confident, that I can get away with damn near anything.
Yeah.
But it is damn near, and there's certain situations you cannot just call a fat girl fat.
Damn it.
That's that like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter how hard you're winning the fucking battle. If you just call a fat girl fat, and that's the whole point of it, it just crowds feel bad for her, and she can look
Yeah.
sad about that, and the whole crowd will genuinely feel bad for her, and anything that she says next will win her the battle.
Yeah.
If she has 6 active brain cells, then she will win that battle. And it's just that's just the way that works. And it's that like it's not anything that like they're doing on purpose, and it's not to say that they're not the tons of. Paige Wesley is one of the best roast battlers in the fucking world in the history of the game, and she's a big girl. And I would love to watch anyone just try and call Paige fat, and then watch her decimate them. So it's like it's not just about that, but it's about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. Like I know that when I'm against a thinner opponent and they call me fat, that's going to do well. But if I can take that fat and then turn it back on them being skinny, and take that same angle and turn it back on them, that I win. I have the upper hand, and it's the just that rebuttal is always going to do well. So like, if I'm going against, I went against Sam Minnie recently, and Sam is a very pretty girl and very alty looking, but just one of those people that guys are always going to comment on videos that they want to fuck her, right? It's like, so that's Sam's archetype. But I could get away with being extremely mean to Sam. And I got to basically just be fat Andrew Tate for that whole battle, and just be as misogynistic and shitty and just say as much fucked up stuff about her and her family and all that. My last joke was literally not even a joke. I just read some stuff that she sent me, and I said, that's not even a joke. This is just the biggest moment of her career, and I know her parents are going to watch. And it's like, which 4D chess, it worked so well. She got in a fight with her mom because of it, which fucking ruled, because she told me her mom was kind of fat. And so just her mom hearing that she said that she was kind of fat started a whole fight, which fucking ruled. But it was one of those things where like, that was a truly mean thing to do, but it's very funny. And because Sam is pretty, people have no sympathy for her. They want me to be a misogynist. They want me to be as mean as possible, because 85% of the people watching that have been turned down or want to fuck someone that looks like her and can't. So then they're like, yeah, do this for me. So there's the optics on it. Whereas with Jimmy Moynihan, this guy roasted most recently, not only is he a very, very good writer, but he's likable in like the underdog nerd kind of way. He's a very gaunt guy, and he's got a very spastic energy and nervous anxiety to him, but he's so clever that you're just rooting for him. And so it's one of those things where like, if I come in like a bully, that's the archetype that they notice and that they want him to win in. So I can't just come in there and be like, yeah, fucking nerd, get in your fucking locker. I have to come in there and I have to be like, hey, I'm likable, and he's not. And like, he's a school shooter. He's not the underdog. That's a bad guy. He's a bad person, and you should hate him. So there's like that. The line is really you have to always be pushing it. You have to see how far you can go, and as mean as you can possibly be while still being funny is the goal. But like, it's very fun being in roast battle, because I get to have really high level roast conversations with a lot of the other top battlers, which, outside of the context of this podcast and Comedy Roast Battle, is so unbelievably gay. it's just so gay. I'm talking to grown men about other grown men and the silly mean words we wrote about them. It is so middle school girl gossipy. Like, do you think it's clever if I call him gay like this? It's like, dude, fuck, dude, we're in our 30s. Like, what are we doing?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you like to write your stuff out beforehand? Do you have stuff that, like, roast that you have just kind of in the back pocket ready to go? Or do you like to come up with stuff off the cuff, or a combination of all three?
So I have a process that it gets more honed each battle, but first is just trading information with the opponent. That's crucial to me. Just I send them my big bio of stuff about me, where I grew up, some funny stuff to make fun of me about from my childhood, some funny stuff to make fun of me about from my adulthood, some facts about me, just any pertinent information that will help them write a joke. And then in turn, they send that same information about themselves. And then I will look at their Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media they're most active on, and I'll look at their most recent posts. And then I basically pretend that I'm sitting with one of my best friends at a bar making fun of them. And how would I do that? If because that's the most fun time of all time. Everybody talks like people watching. That's just roasting people with your friends. And you're like, look at that fucking guy, his stupid fucking hat. And you have a good time. It was like, look how fat that lady is. You have a good time with it.
See, that was one of the things that I always didn't like about doing some of the roast battles that we used to do around here. Is I don't like going up against people like I would get paired up with people like I don't know them. They're like from another city, and I'm like, I don't know this person. I've never met them before in my life, and I'm supposed to sit up here and roast them? Like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it is weird. So that's why that information exchange is so important. And then also, going through their digital footprint. Ostensibly, it's a comedian that you're roasting, so they have, maybe a podcast or at least stand-up clips or something that they put out online. So you can kind of if you don't know them, you watch their stuff and kind of get a gauge for it. And there's varying levels. So Tom Goss, the guy that's my co-commissioner, he's one of the best battlers of all time. He's currently the champion of LA. And we battled in December at the Comedy Store. And Tom told me that he watched every episode of every podcast I'd ever done. He probably watched our episode,
wow.
To prepare for the battle and wrote 150 jokes. I mean, and that's Tom's process. Tom is a prolific writer and is very talented. I'll tell you that our battle was on a Wednesday. And on Monday, I recorded a podcast. And at the time of recording that, I had 1 or 2 jokes written. And was like, I'm about to get smoked. And I wrote, a few the next day and a few the next day. And then one of the jokes that hit the hardest was when I wrote in the room while I was waiting for us to go up, just looking at him. So there's no right or wrong way to write it. But I definitely going up there without a minimum of whatever the required jokes are for that battle is never goes well. I'll say that. I've been a part of, run, and hosted and participated in hundreds of battles at this point now, and probably 150. And every single time that someone has gone up there and just tried to wing it, it's always people that are good at roasting with their friends and are good off the cuff with their friends and think that they can do that. They get obliterated because that works once or twice, and then really good jokes come at you, and you're caught up in the moment and you didn't have time to think, and now you're fucked. Yeah. And you are thinking and it's silent, and that whole 5 seconds you look dumb as shit. So I have a lot written beforehand. What I generally like is 7 to 10 that I feel great about, and then I will whittle that down to the 5 that I think will work most based on how they look that day, how the crowd is sounding on that show, unless we're first battle, but just kind of getting a gauge and kind of going with my gut instinct. And then rebuttals. So because I've traded information with them, I know all the information I've given them. I know me, and I know they're going to make a joke about my tattoos. I got a lot of dumb tattoos. So I need to have a rebuttal with something about them based on them making fun of my tattoos. They're going to make fun of me for being fat. What am I going to say back about that? They're going to make fun of me probably for being divorced. What am I going to say bad about that? They're going to make fun of me for I did vape cloud competitions. So I have these things that I grew up with rich parents who are poor now, not poor, but not rich like they were. And so it's one of those things where, that I have rebuttals that I keep planned, that I write for those. So that's defense is the best offense, and then also just in the moment, I would say that it's probably 70% prepared, written, and 30% improvised.
Or if you're Tom Goss, just do a deep dive on every fucking independent podcast that anyone has ever appeared on. And Tom, if you're listening to this right now, you're a raggedy bitch. You're a raggedy bitch, Tom. And I want you to DM me, because I will have you on this podcast, Tom, to tell you how much of a raggedy bitch you are if you're listening
Tom's
to this right
man.
now. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's great.
Tom's the fucking best. So Ryan Neeson is he was the number 3 point earner for the first 2 seasons of RBL. One of the best guys. The only person that I've ever felt like really just beat the shit out of me. He beat me thoroughly, unanimously, wasn't even close when we battled at the mothership. And he writes an unbelievable amount, and he runs them by a small group of trusted people, and like just writes and writes and writes and writes and writes. So there's all sorts of different ways to do it, and the line is different for everybody. But like, I will say that all of the best jokes and all the best battles and all the best battlers don't really have like anything that's off limits.
Hell yeah.
I battled a guy with cerebral palsy, Joey Rell, and you bet your ass I made fun of him for having that. He said they look like I left a handsome guy in a dryer.
Hell yeah, dude. And if he beats you too bad, then you can just like push him down the stairs off stage.
Yeah. Told me he was the only person I'd ever battled I was confident I could beat in a race. And he said something about he would beat me downhill. And I said, not if I unplugged him. It's just a fun time, man. You have to go hard on stuff like that. And, there's a moment, Heather Keith, when we were battling for the Austin Roast Battle Championship 3 years ago, I said that, are those high-waisted shorts, or is that a fanny pack full of pudding and stretch marks? And what was funny is that was a joke that I had written about not just a random woman that I saw in Hollywood. And it was just like something that like I had in my notes from being a year into comedy, and it like just incubated for like 2.5 years, and then it popped up in that roast battle. But it wasn't something I had prepared written for her. It was something that was in the back of my brain from fucking forever ago, and she was wearing high-waisted shorts and just had a little bit too much fupa, and it just fucking smacked. And that was a moment where she told me, she was like, I felt naked on stage. and it was just like so there's moments like that where it's like that's why you always write.
Yeah. I need to get back to writing. I haven't written anything in forever, man. It's awful.
Do some acid or take some mushrooms. Go sit in a park.
I've thought about it. Yeah. What about you, Jacob? Are you still writing anything?
Yeah, I still write, dude. Mostly about Dussy, though.
Get off my lawn, kid.
But with that, guys, we need to be wrapping this thing up here. Mike, tell everyone where they can see you live and where they can get tickets to see you live.
Oh man, I post everything on my Instagram. I don't have like an agent or a manager. I do have a drug and alcohol problem, so it's not like super organized. But all the tickets are like through the venues. I'm going to be in Golden, Colorado, Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee, South Bend, Indiana, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Atlanta, and there's definitely something I'm forgetting. Oh, Cleveland, and I'll be in Cleveland. But all those will be on my Instagram. They'll be on my Linktree for tickets as the tickets are made available. Those will be over the next few months, so like no rush. But just go follow me. Mike is Eaton, Eaton on Instagram. I promise it'll be a very fun show. You'll have a good time no matter what.
And I'll have that. I'll put that Instagram link in the show notes. All I got to do is hit that little button. It'll take you right to it.
Fuck yeah! Thank you.
So Jacob, what you got going on? Do we have anything going on lately or nothing?
We don't have anything going on. Look, guys, I'm fucking busy. I just got married. I just moved into a new house.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's time to put this old horse back in the stable. You know what I'm saying, brother? Just hitch me to the post. I'm here. Got shit going on, man. But in terms of the podcast here, we are recording our extra episode for the month. This Sunday, actually, we're going to do a headliners episode with the very funny Rachel Lopez, who is a very funny local comic here. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the only way that you're going to listen to it, unless you're from the future and you can fast forward a month, the only way you can listen to it when it's available is if you go to patreon.com/OM podcast and give us $1 a month.
Yeah.
You don't have $1 a month. You got to get your money up, dude. Give us $1 and you can listen to the episodes when they come out.
And I did get some what are these things? They're like weird. Mike, would
Jason's
you eat
talking
this?
off mic again. So.
Would you eat one of these?
No,
No.
I would not. No, I don't like pickles to begin with, but then
What is wrong with you guys? Both of
That's
you
what I
guys
said.
don't like pickles. How do you not like pickles?
I can tell you mine has a very specific answer. When I was 15, I went down on a girl and it tasted exactly like when you get a McDonald's hamburger with no pickles on it, but they put the pickles on there and then you take them off and then you get a bite of it and you still taste the essence of pickle, but not full pickle. That's exactly what her pussy tasted like. And it made me throw up. And now anytime I taste a pickle, I'm immediately 15 years old in her shitty trailer going down on her in a room that's way too hot. And it just immediately overwhelms me. And I feel like I'm going to vomit.
That's
So yeah, I don't eat pickles.
Wow, can you boil yours down to a specific moment like that, Jacob?
I just don't like pickles.
Wow. Well, Jacob's not going to eat it on camera, but I will. So that'll be next month's Patreon. Also, is I'm going to try weird.
That ASMR is going to be rough.
That weird warhead blue pickle. I'm going to eat one for the show here. I'm taking one for the team. Well, I've made Jacob do all kind of weird shit. It's my turn to do something weird, so that's what I'll do. But Mike,
I got shot with an airsoft gun. Yeah, I'll boof it, dude. I'm gonna boof it right up there.
But Mike, thank you for being on the show again, man. We've been looking forward to it, and can't wait to have you on again. We need to get you on for a headliners episode as well. I think you'd be perfect for it, Jacob. Make it happen.
Hell yeah, let's do it, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, well, let's get out of here. If you want to email us at openmicerspodcast@gmail.com. We're at openmicers.com, and of course, our link tree is linktr.com/openmicerspodcast. That takes you everywhere you need to go, all the socials, all the ways to give us money, and of course, go to brezcoffeecode.com and use the code OMPodcast for checkout at 10% off your order. We love all of you, and we'll see you right here next week.
I bet that pickle tastes like Dussy.
And thank you all for watching on YouTube. Let me put our little outro up here. We will see all of you next week.